Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. We've got a truly fascinating source text to unpack today, one that actually bridges the hard science of how ecosystems function with some pretty profound philosophical questions that naturally pop up when you study them. We're going to be zooming all the way out from a tiny microscopic metropolis right up to the magnificent interlocking systems of our entire planet. It's a really incredible journey, so let's just get right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this by starting small, really small. The source material kicks things off with this great line. In a handful of soil, thousands of species live. And you know, if you really think about it, if you just scoop up one handful of earth from a forest floor, you aren't just holding a clump of inert, dead dirt. No way. You are holding a sprawling, densely packed ecosystem. Literally thousands of different species are navigating, communicating, and surviving right there in the palm of your hand. It completely shifts how we look at the world, reminding us that there's this massively dense, bustling life going on beneath our very feet, totally unseen by the naked eye.
So what exactly makes up this unseen metropolis? Well, the text points out the fundamental threads of a complex soil web. We're talking roots, fungi, microbes, and insects. And the key takeaway here is that these aren't just a random pile of isolated bugs and roots doing their own thing. Far from it. The roots are actively communicating with the fungi, the microbes are busy breaking down nutrients for the insects. Every single element is interacting, exchanging chemical signals, and basically holding the foundation of life together. They are, quite literally, threads weaving the soil together beneath the surface.
And that leads us straight into the core concept of ecology and interdependence. This is the scientific reality that every single species in an ecosystem is directly or indirectly connected to hundreds of other species. The source really anchors its philosophical arguments in this undeniable, hard scientific fact. Nature operates like this insanely complex interlocking fabric that's highly tuned through mutual reliance. Basically, every creature, no matter how microscopically tiny, is holding up its own specific, absolutely crucial corner of the ecosystem.
Now, because everything is so interconnected, the stakes are incredibly high. Just think about the ripple effect of extinction outlined here. Step 1. A single, seemingly insignificant species disappears. Okay, no big deal, right? Well, actually, scratch that. It's a huge deal. Step 2. The impact spreads in a chain reaction. The organisms that relied on that missing species go hungry. Then the plants that needed it for nutrients start to wither away. And finally, step 3. The entire interlocking ecosystem shifts. It's kind of like a giant game of Jenga. A missing thread doesn't just leave a tiny hole. It threatens to unravel the entire fabric around it. The survival of the whole thing is completely dependent on all those countless individual parts working together. Having firmly established this intense scientific interconnectedness, the source text zooms way out to the macro level. It introduces this gorgeous metaphor from a figure the text refers to as a great commentator. They observed that the Earth is a giant carpet woven anew every season, with hundreds of thousands of species acting as threads, constantly renewing, never wearing out. I mean, wow, what a mental image, right? It takes those literal threads of the soil we were just talking about and elevates them to the scale of a planetary loom. The changing of the seasons, spring bringing new life, autumn breaking it back down, is framed as this endless cycle of weaving hundreds of thousands of species together year after year, without the fabric ever actually tearing.
And this brings the source text to a pretty pivotal question. Can such a weaving be without a weaver? This is where we transition from observable ecological science into a really fascinating philosophical synthesis. The text is basically asking us to logically evaluate everything we've just unpacked. If the ecosystem really does function as an infinitely complex tapestry where every single thread relies on the others, doesn't it naturally prompt us to ask how it got there? It's a thought-provoking inquiry that bridges the gap between what science can physically observe and what the human mind naturally wonders about origin and purpose.
So the text frames this whole idea as a choice between two interpretations. On one hand, you have blind chance, essentially just a random pile of stuff, and on the other, an interlocked, planned design. The argument being presented is that a weaver doesn't just throw threads together randomly, right? They weave according to a specific, deliberate plan. When you look at the mutual dependence of species, where losing just one causes a massive ripple effect across hundreds of others, the source suggests these ecosystems carry the distinct, undeniable traces of an interlocked design. It visually juxtaposes these ideas, asking whether the intricate balance of the natural world looks more like a lucky accident or a highly planned interlocking mechanism.
Then, the source takes these vast, kind of cosmic concepts of weavers and planetary carpets and brings them right back down to Earth, to a single leaf. Every leaf is a small thread, and every thread is connected to the whole. It really emphasizes that no matter how vast our Earth is, every individual piece, every microbe, every insect, every single leaf falling in a quiet forest is absolutely crucial to this massive earthly weaving. Nothing is redundant. Nothing is truly isolated. Every single piece is an active, necessary participant in this grand unfolding ecosystem.
Who wove this complex web? We've zoomed way in on a handful of soil, traced the scientific chain reactions of interdependence, and explored this grand, beautiful metaphor of an endlessly renewing planetary carpet. Ultimately, the source is challenging us to look out our windows today and see things differently, to not just see trees and dirt, but a profoundly complex, interlocked ecosystem. It leaves us to ponder not just the tapestry itself, but the very nature of its existence, and, ultimately, our own place within it. So, what do you think? It's definitely something to chew on. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.